Hello. We will get started in 2 minutes. The other speaker is joining in like 2 minutes. Hey, Madhu, I'm not able to hear you. I can see you, but I
Hey,
can't.
because I'm not saying anything. The music was on, so I was keeping quiet.
Okay.
Yeah, hi everyone. So nice to be here, be
Oh,
back again with some of you, and
yeah.
meet for the first time for some of you.
Yep. So it was nice music, actually.
Yes, music is always relaxing. A while ago, before joining the call, I was listening to Pandit Hari Prasad Chaurasia flute,
Nice.
and now you were playing some nice music, so I had a good start.
Awesome.
I wish I could invite you for tea, but virtually I can only offer you a virtual chai ka cup.
Thank you.
So while we're waiting, we have participants logged in.
Yep.
Audience, listeners, participants, what shall we call you? A very, very warm welcome.
Absolutely. And maybe we in the chat window we can write down where we are from, because that's always a wonderful exercise to know
Yes,
from all the different locations people have joined.
yes. So if you all can, yeah. All right. Hi from Canada, from Rachel, right?
Hi, Rachel. I guess it would be like good evening.
Good evening. Yeah. Sydney, good afternoon.
Sure. Narendra from Gurgaon, Parul is from Gurgaon, Samarth is
Okay, good.
Ahmedabad, India, Vaibhavda from Jodhpur, and then Amira has joined from Dubai. Awesome.
Okay. And I'm from India, Gurgaon as well. Okay.
Are you back in Gurgaon or still in Haridwar?
Uh, me,
Yeah,
I went to Himachal last to
Himachal.
last weekend. Yeah, I'm back in Gurgaon. That was a
Nice.
wonderful 1 week break. Those of you who may not know, Himachal is up north in India. It's the hills. I had a gala time there. Bungee jumping, paragliding, and sky cycling were a few things that I did for the first time in life. Very, very interesting.
Awesome.
Okay. So we have Ajay as well, and we are going to get started. So wonderful. Welcome to the Creative Morning November session. This is from the Gurgaon chapter, Gurgaon, India chapter. This time we have two amazing, wonderful speaker. First is Ajay Ajay Vishnu. Ajay Vishnu founded his company Jet Brain Robotics in 2018, and recently his company has been acquired by a Canadian firm, Solaris Disinfection, and for which he's now the CTO. And very soon his company is going to get into the hospitality sector as well. Personally, JetBrain Robotics is one of the fastest growing startup that I have seen in India. Within almost like just 3 years, it was started from ground zero and to where it is in just 3 years, and that has been done single-handedly by Ajay Vishnu. That's our first speaker. Our next speaker on the right hand side of the screen is Madhu. Mindful, attentive, dedicated, happy go lucky, unusual, and unique. is how Madhu wants to describe herself. She's a certified leadership coach, and people, at least in India, we know her. Her story has been covered by leading newspapers in India. She has been a role model and encouraged many youngsters in colleges, non-government organizations, corporates through her panel discussions. She is a speaker at national and international uh, uh, forums. On the personal note, she is married to Dinesh Kaushal, who is visually impaired, and they are blessed with son Namish. The way we are going to go about, we will have two sessions. The first session is in the first session, we will hear the story and journey from Ajay Vishnu and his learning as well. And then in the second session, there will be a uh, workshop facilitated by Madhu. Now, before we get into the details of the sessions, I would encourage you to switch on your camera. It's a small community. People are quite friendly here, so there won't be any problem if you feel like switching on the camera. Now, in order to ensure that you receive the continuous stream of inspiration and creativity, this is the Facebook page, and I would encourage you to subscribe to it. People who are already part or who have attended Creative Morning sessions know that there is a global content. So that content comes out here, but at the same time, there are a lot of local content which is quite relevant to our ecosystem is being put out here. And that's a wonderful way to stay connected, because Creative Morning session happens once in a month. For the remaining month, you have the wonderful stream of current. You would realize that conducting session is not a one person job. Thankfully, we have a small team but amazing people. So this is me who is speaking right now. Then I have Saikat, who is on the right hand side. Then Samarth, and the latest entry is Parul Bansal. So this is the small team who is doing whatever that we could do, in the terms of post creation, in terms of reaching out to you, identification of the speaker, reaching out to them, explaining what needs to be done. So in case you meet them virtually or somewhere, maybe you can say hello to them. Now, they say that the best form of learning happens when you open up thinking about it. So, in order to give you a little nudge to open up, we're going to have a small exercises, very small ones. All you need to do is to look at the question and then in the chat window, answer the question. Here goes the first question. What is the last book you read? The last book you read. Okay. This is a wonderful collection. Thank you so much. And now you have a good list what people around you or people like-minded to you have read. Here goes the next question. If you could pick a certain skill instantly, what would it be? You don't have to write long. One or two words would be good enough. And I guess that gives the clarity as well. Your time starts now. Okay, Bhavna, painting, reading, spelling, yeah, reading. Mine would be Ajay's guitar. Awesome. By the way, this wonderfully reminds us some of the stuff that we all along want to do it, but somehow because of our daily life and the responsibilities and so many different stuff, we are not able to do. So here goes the third question. What is your absolute dream job? Again, you don't have to go writing the full sentence. One or two would be good enough. So while you are typing, I would also encourage you, once you're done with your typing, take a look at what others are sharing their answers. Ajay has his dream job, of course. True, true. My all. Okay, Bhavna wants to set up her own wellness retreat. Rachel, forever student. Wonderful. What about others? Samarth, the one that I am doing right now, it will likely change in few years. Okay, interesting. Amira says forever student sounds good. Okay. And here goes the fourth question that I guess you can see. What is something that amazes you? What is something that amazes you? From Parul, it's nature and different elements. Wonderful. Nature and stupidity. That's nice. Different perspective of people. Isn't it interesting? Isn't it interesting that most of the things that amaze us revolves around people, how they act to us, how we react to others, learning. These are some of the elements. So the intent of this exercise uh, was to give you a little nudge to go back and listen to ourselves as well, to kind of figure out where our heart lies. Ajay has his best dream job, uh, but probably not all of us. So maybe it is time for us to kind of think about it. On that note, we are going to get started with the first session. Ajay Vishnu, over to you.
Yeah, hi. Thanks, Alok. Hi, everyone. So, just a second. Sorry for being late, though. I've been, moving around. So, interestingly, I am at the house of the founder, and the author of the book that I just wrote here. So, I had a meeting with him, and I told him, the meeting is not at 10:30, and I'm right here. So, I just wanted to put that out. So, I said, I'll take a call from here itself. Anyways, so uh, here goes. Let me just share about myself. So my hold on, I just wanted to open. Yeah, yeah. So basically, who I am and what describes me best is this image. It's basically the way I've seen myself grow as evolved. I used to be a script kiddie, and used to write small games and algorithm stuff back during school days. Was part of different competitions and everything during the college days. Started. It was all on a hobbyist level, and quickly over the time, I started realizing that my skills could actually be monetized, and it went very naturally because someone just told me, if you give me this, I'll put a bike in front of your house. And I was like surprised. Why would someone give me, X thing for doing something that I love, right? But then that's where the face evolved. Um, Over the time when I was in college, right around in the final year, I realized that what I was doing at learning at college and what I was being able to do in outside had no particular relation. College was only supposed to train me for what they believed was right thing, but I had to make up my own journey, and that's where my major turn of event came in, wherein I ended up dropping the college and joining a startup, um, and working with them from the start, I asked my CTO, like the then CTO, if would it be a problem if I drop out? And they were like, he was like, I don't mind because you have the skills, but your parents, you handle your parents. And I remember telling him, fine, I won't tell them. Right. So for a year at least, it was like I used to, instead of going to college, I used to go to the office. And my parents thought I was going to the college, and I kept working, and that's how my professional career started, wherein I just kept growing one after the other. But then one of the days, one of my friends in college comes over home and tells that he's graduated, and mom is like, you study with him, right? My son should be graduated with you. And that's when the thing gets out, wherein um, uh, the cat gets out of the box, and my dad knows that I'm not going to college and rather I'm working somewhere. But then I had to deal with it, and the final, after the fight, the explanation was, dad was like, he'll maybe understand the value of degree when he doesn't get a better job or better money or a better company, and then he'll come back to us and we'll talk to the college to take him back. But then for me, that was the day I promised to myself that that day will never happen, so that I will grow my skills so much and overcome all these challenges. So it was like a question. So when the first day company was like, okay, you won't get enough money, I changed the company to show him there will be more money. Then if you won't get enough better company, then I jumped into a company which was bigger brand, bigger MNC or something like that. So over the years, it was always like a question and answer for me, where I was going against the challenges which were coming in forms of the societal question. Oh, you are a dropout, so you can't do this. And I kept jumping, hopping on to better company, better this. And during that journey is when I was part of Sapient R&D Labs, which actually gave me the kind of confidence to go out about talking about technology, and gave me the freedom to kind of um, explore the different skill sets that I had in a varied form. So I was part of the R&D lab, which Alok leads right now, and also a few of the people I can see are from over there. So that has been a major contributor to where I was able to grow to a confident technology person. From there, it was another startup where I was uh, kind of heading a management role, and then a random thing happened, which was MTV Dropout. This was a TV show basically um, for entrepreneurs, first time entrepreneurs, and it was more of a reality show. So they gave challenges quickly and try to see who won it, who was able to deal with the real world situations. Like, say for example, if you have 10,000 rupees budget and you're supposed to deliver food to 100 people in a company, and you're a food delivery startup, so how do you manage it, if even if you don't know a certain thing? So that was kind of a major change in the way I used to see startups and companies. I used to think it's all about technology and nothing else apart from that. But then this happened to be one major change where they quickly put me in touch, and in through multiple challenges, where I kind of learned how there would be a different perspective in terms which I never really used to think. So, I mean, I've just given you a complete brief of what my mindset would have been while starting a startup. That's the reason I came from the story point of view, because when you are starting a startup, this is or a company, the mindset that you have is the most important. So if you're working somewhere, you will have a different kind of mindset. If if you have done this, if you've seen these challenges, or you see the life as different challenges that have passed through, then you'll have a different perspective. So all that perspectives matter. So when you are about to do something on your own, all these perspectives is the only way that gives you a way forward. So for me, it was like I've tried all these things, I've done all these things, and I've risked a lot. So chalo, I can risk this one as well. So my choice between Amazon's job offer and doing a startup. So for me, it was like, okay, Amazon's offer is something that I dreamt always. So I am having that now, and maybe even if I after a year I get back to this, I will still have that offer. But let me try what I always wanted to do when I was in a company. I always wanted to do something of a startup where we can set up a innovation culture, robotics, technology heavy this. So robotics was kind of my interest, and I thought, why not, right? And that's why not is where I decided to put the money where my mouth is. My mouth was about robotics, robotics, robotics. So I thought maybe I should try something in India, and yeah, and I took in I thought maybe I'll invest 5 lakhs and see what comes out of it. So in March 2018, I started um, you know talking to hospitals and trying to look for different ideas that could work for. And one of the ideas that came from a US market, product in US market is the medicine transportation robot. And that idea is that video is all that I had to show all these hospitals, that I used to take it to them and show them and then say, okay, this is something I'm going to do. The first question was, are you a distributor, are you a trader? And I would say, no, I'm trying to make it, right? And it's a new thing. And they say, have you made something like this before? And I said, no, I just think I'll try and make it. And so for people it was like a very non-serious idea, and they were not really giving me that the leeway that a new startup or encouragement that would get, because it's like robotics, maybe a new thing, someone's trying to do something, some guy who just thinks some random thing would work. So to make them believe, I realized you can't really take feedback from them at that point. Nobody, you wouldn't get feedbacks at this point. Or the only thing that would help you is the gut feeling. So at that point, I decided, regardless of whether it works out or not, I'll just use my 5 lakhs, put it on, and burn it away, and then see what happens. So by the time I was like, I started that, and a few months down the line, I had a small prototype coming in. I started realizing that I could actually do this, and then I opened up all my savings, fixed deposits, everything, and put all in. I went all in. So I think within the first 8 months, I had spent around 30 lakhs, and it was all over. And we had like 4 guys in the office, and there was one robot which was moving around, but that's it. That couldn't be sold because that was obviously not as per the market standards, but there was just one robot which could move around here and there. So the basic idea, basically. So we had kind of proved that. Then we looked around globally. We started investing, for investors in India. Obviously, that didn't work out, and we reached out. One of the global accelerators reached out to us and selected us in their program. And as part of that, I was into a Hong Kong-based accelerator. We I'll actually show a couple of images for that. Yeah, so basically I've documented all of my journey in a blog for the startup. So if you do happen to have time sometime, you can go around and see story.jetbrain.ai. That has been the complete journey of what I'm talking about, of how we started. And these are the robots that we actually currently have. This is the JetBrain robot. This one is the patient care assistant. This is a medicine transportation robot. This is the generic transportation robot, and this is the disinfection robot. So like I said, this was my initial setup, where it was just me and no one else. And I was in my room trying to do robotics, and this was my first robot design that I tried to do in Google Sketch myself. And when I went to a manufacturer, so this I'd like to explain the first 8 months. This first 8 months is where I was trying to go to the market, and this idea is all that I had. So I went to a manufacturer and showed this design. And so the manufacturer said, you know what you need to do? Get a mechanical guy first, get him to design something, and then come to me. So that's when I realized, my first hire would be a mechanical guy, and I ended up, hiring someone like that. The next one was the electronics, and then so on. We started iterating, many small components. These were like the trials and errors that we were doing. And when I started, I realized, I didn't have any idea about robotics. And the first robot that you see is an off-the-shelf purchase robot that I decided we'll completely reverse engineer over the 2-3 months of the initial setup. So when I didn't know anything, so I pulled out a off-the-shelf made robot and pulled it apart, told my team to learn it completely, and that's where we started from. So this was the electronic side, and then slowly and gradually we started having a design that we wanted. So this is the point. The last image of this is where we had a robot in the office and some four guys in the office who were waiting for a way ahead. So this after this is where the Brink happened. Brink is the Hong Kong accelerator. We were one of the 13 teams that were selected globally for being part of the robotics and drones program. And from there, we had a very good session. We were taken to China. We were showcased, introduced to different manufacturing processes, how a hardware cycle starts and ends, and how we can take a hardware startup to market. So this was kind of the learning period where we learned all the things apart from, the building of the robot itself, and it was more like a crash course. Yeah, this is the initial team that we had, and this is just after the funding. So we were all set out to make an MVP, and yeah, and we also got some toys around and made our lives more better in terms of a company. We started grouping more in terms of how people work in an organization, just so that we also started getting organized rather than just having a project. Um, yeah, I think this is not loading, but anyways, so over the years, this was.
Did we lose Ajay?
Yep.
Okay.
And Ajay's back. Uh, Facing some, you see, technology sometimes, a lot of times helps us a lot, sometimes tricks us.
Hello.
Yes, Ajay, we can hear
Yep.
you.
Sorry. So I'm still on my mobile connection, so I think this is happened. So this was what I was trying to show. So basically, from after the funding, we had iterated over to MVP, and this is something that we had started to showcase in events. We were taking it to hotels and different events that were around in India, and doing a bit of marketing stuff over LinkedIn, posting stuff of how our robots are. Unfortunately, around like surprisingly actually, the first customer didn't come from India. It came from a Canadian. It was a Canadian customer who wanted our robots, and this was our first customer, and the shipment that we did. This happened to be one of the major events for us because we hadn't made a sale in the first 2 years, and this was like a big moment for us that we are shipping one product out of our office. So yeah, we did that, and this is where the major change in our lives came, because Solaris was a company that purchased our robot. Then they invited me to go and demo the product there, showcase them. They were looking to work with Indian companies to automate their disinfection products. And they saw our product as something that they could retrofit and iterate. They ordered another 40 units for this year. And when I went there and I talked to them, they realized, these guys don't even have instead of ordering 40 units, we could actually buy the company. So that was the kind of situation, because I asked for an advance, and robots are a costly affair. And I said, unless you give us an advance, we'll have to go raise another round of funding before we could execute your order. So that's where the discussions of an acquisition started, because we were a nascent team. I was looking for co-founders, and the Solaris people also felt me as a good tech founder that they could work with. So this is Solaris. This is basically the product of Solaris, the light pot. That it does disinfection of hospital rooms, and what they wanted is basically to use our autonomous base and automate the disinfection robot itself. So the idea was like a quick marriage between the two technologies that happened, the disinfection technology and the autonomous robotics technology, and go forward. It gives us access to the US market, and they get access to the technology. So it was more of a strategic partnership. And yes, so this was in August, and we got acquired by Solaris Disinfection Inc. I joined the company as a CTO, and Yes, so it's been good, and so far it's been working well. To give you a perspective, during COVID, this product has been much more in demand. To give you a perspective of how we are selling, we had sales of over a year, like we had a sales of 3 million in a month in during COVID, which was actually before COVID the sales of the entire year. So that's the kind of changes that happened for Solaris and after the merger. So going forward, we are kind of growing towards different products. We have various designs that are coming into the market, which include disinfection as well as medicine care and patient care assistance, but in the US market as well. So overall, this is our idea, and that's where we are. So that's my story as well as my story of my company. So I started with company, I ended up with another company. And that's been my journey so far.
That's awesome, Ajay. One
Yeah.
question. I would encourage people to ask questions in the chat window, or you could unmute and ask questions directly as well. Both options are possible. My first question to you, Ajay, would you recommend people to give up engineering in or their college in the final year to pursue your dream, to pursue their dream? Is this something
Uh,
you feel okay?
Not really. I mean, see, there is nothing called jumping out of college. I would say I didn't even call it a dropout thing, unless people started labeling me as a dropout. Especially the TV show labeled me like that. But for me, it was just a choice of the current thing I was doing versus the thing I had in hand. So obviously, I used to value CoCube's internship as much, more important. For me, it was more like writing a JavaScript library in the next 6 months would be a bigger thing for me rather than the completing the college degree. So my value of that degree was much lesser. In my mind, it was I could do a lot more things in those 6 months rather than completing that particular subject or writing those exams. If I have the confidence, then I would go ahead and try to do the other thing. But then if you don't really have anything like that, then I would say if you're part of the college um, cycle, college is about training you for 4 years for the outside world. So if you are trained within 3.5 years and you feel so, you can jump out and do it. I mean, there's nothing stopping you from doing that. But it's not something I would say is a must or is anything has anything to do with. It's like when you feel ready. I think in India at least there is a kind of pressure from the parents and social side of completing the 4 years. But outside, I think it's all people are not really forced that way. They are like there's a bigger rate of dropping out because people are choosing when to drop out or whether to complete those subjects or not to complete those subjects. That's the only thing there is to it. Whether I want to complete, I want to do 6 months more of these subjects or whether I'm already feeling ready. So yeah, it depends on the personal confidence there. You know.
Okay. That helps. It's quite interesting perspective as well. What would be your recommendation for people who don't have a so-called those innovative background? You're not from MIT, right? So I could understand and I could relate how hard it could have been for you to sell your robotics idea to someone. So what has been your experience and what would be your recommendation?
No, so like it will at least there is a big thing that goes with IIT and all those things that's a big the name definitely brings in a lot of weight and it becomes much harder for you to challenge those names. But then over the period when you have true skills, I don't think that matters because as many there are people who weigh for these degrees, there are as many people out there who don't weigh for them. So if someone wants a perspective, they say degree is very important. So this is the perspective I had, for example. I would say that if there are 12 companies out there who are going to hire with, hire people, there will be at least one company which will hire without a degree. And I would say I don't have to work in 12 companies. I have to work in only one. So if there's one company who is going to hire without a degree, I'll be fine with that one. What people usually see is like, I'll take all this degree, I'll take as much as the names that I can, and I'll be eligible for all 12 of them. right? That's what they want to do. But being eligible for 12 of them doesn't make any difference because you're not going to work for the 12 of them. So it's more like they increase the chances on the wrong side. They should increase the chance on getting into that one company which is going to hire them rather than being ready for all the 12 companies out there. So that's the way I used to see it as. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. There is one question from Shreya, and I will read it out for you. Sometimes we are determined to do something we want, but don't trust ourselves enough because of people around asking us to continue with what we are doing. So, what do you do in this situation? Should we continue with our instinct?
No, so like obviously the robotic side of mine wasn't accepted well with people. It's like there wasn't anything. People felt, this is something of a joke because you're trying to do something which doesn't exist, which doesn't even feel real, right? It doesn't feel like a serious startup or something like that. But then for me, it was like I take the worst scenario, worst case that can happen with it, and I be okay. So for example, mine was I was getting a job offer. I wouldn't take that. And after a year, I had taken, thought of the worst case scenario that was like, I'd have burnt my money. I'd have, lost my job offer and I'll still be okay with it in the worst case scenario that 1 year down the line, this startup will also go bust. So making your mind ready for that is very important. So first of all, you choose the worst case out there and you'll be ready for that. Then after that, if someone comes and says, hey, your startup won't work, I said, I know that. That's fine. So, I mean, that way nobody can bring your thoughts down and then you'll continue to do that, what you were trying to do. So it was like in the first 6 months or 8 months, I think people were saying this won't work. Nobody's going to buy. I said, fine. It's my money that I'm burning. And once I'm burnt, I'll go and work. Right. That's what I've been doing. I'll go back to work, but I'll be sure, that I've done what I wanted to do. So it's fine. So it's like giving backups to your mind so that you're okay with others, the thoughts that others are throwing at you, saying, this won't work, this won't work. You should be okay with that because you would have thought of the worst case scenario, which is way beyond that.
Awesome. So I don't see any other question. Ajay, thank you so much for filling our inspiration cup. We will now move on to the next session, which is from Madhu. Madhu, why don't you go ahead, and I'm now sharing my screen with your presentation.
Sure. Thank you so much. And Ajay, that was absolutely amazing. I think what Ajay shared today and what you all have demonstrated today by joining this session, by creating time to be here, you have already demonstrated something called the self discipline. What say, Alok?
True,
Isn't that true?
true. I totally agree.
Yeah, so y'all don't need to learn anything now. Joking. So just a little bit about me before we actually venture into understanding what truly is self-discipline and what I'm going to share with you a couple of practical tools for us to be able to self discipline, or might I say take charge of your life, take charge of each moment that you live. Take if life were a television, take the remote control in your hand. Or might I say, if you love kite flying, that that thread that you have, if you're flying a kite and life is flying like a free bird, like a kite, then you take that thread in your hand. So I'm going to share a couple of practical tools on that front, but a little bit about me. And you see, why should you really listen to me? Not I mean, if I say listen to me, you'd listen to me, but just to give you an insight into who I am. So I'm forever 21. That's what I like to believe. Born and raised in Delhi. I call myself a Himachali girl, a Pahadan, because my parents are from Himachal and I can speak the language well. I love languages. Um, I I happen to be born and be blessed with very, very special challenges. Uh, One in our society, being a girl child, being a woman. is something that brings with it a lot of diversity and a lot of challenges. And the second filter that makes me into an even more diverse group is that I happen to have 100% visual disability since birth. So I'm not able to see you, but I'm able to hear you. And technology has enabled us so much that I'm also able to hear, read the chat inputs that you're putting on the chat. So, accessibility is right there. So I'm able to, hear all of that. Like, for example, I get to know when somebody has joined in or somebody is logged off. I just got to know that Ajay stopped screen sharing. So yeah, that's how enabled I am with technology. So I I have an elder sister. Thanks, Alok, for starting the screen share. I have an elder sister and a younger brother. My elder sister and I happen to be totally blind since birth. But what really got us got me here, is not my disability, but a sense of confidence, a sense of that willingness, that urge to do something that my parents inculcated in me, how they nurtured me, is, I think, the highlight of my story. So I studied through an integrated system of education. I went to National Association for the Blind. From there, I went to Delhi Public School, RK Puram, and then I studied um, English literature, English honors in Ladies Sri Ram College, and have been working, ever since. Actually, I started working in childhood only. I used to love, selling things. I sold bangles, I sold bookmarks, calendars, gas lighters, cosmetics. I did all of that. So that used to be fun. But finally, I started working into the field of learning and development, first as a voice and accent and soft skills trainer. And now, for the last 15 years, I've been working as a learning and development professional. So I conduct behavioral workshops, team building workshops, and motivation workshops, communication workshops, strengthen leadership capability. That's what I do in my current role. But truly, my learning is that I've been able to achieve or do all that I do is because of like I said, that sense of, hey, I really want to do something. I don't want to just stop there and be seen as poor little thing. So I'm not a poor little thing, or but someone who's also able to create a pathway for many like me. So that's my story in a nutshell. And I'm gonna talk to you about how much life truly do we have. So, let's look at the ribbon of life, so to say, if I can call it like that. So, tell me, how much is our lifespan? 100 years? Do we live for about 100 years? Can be quick, unmute.
100 years.
100 years? No?
Yep. 100 years.
100 years?
Yes.
Yes, we would all love to live 100 years, but on an average, how much do you think we live?
60, 70?
60, 70. Yeah,
80.
80. Okay, let's
90.
90 average. Hard to believe, but yeah, maybe one day I will live 90.
Madhur,
So
let's say 120 by the year 2050.
yeah, hopefully, right? But in the current circumstances, I think taking an average of all that you said, how about taking it as a 75, right? So let's chop off. Okay, let's imagine that we have a virtual scissors, and Alok is going to do the magic. Chop off 25 years.
I
We're
did.
left with 75, right? Now, all of us sitting out here, what would be our average age? I said forever 21. I'm not going to share my age, right? But average age, um, and assuming all of us are working, we have some experience, right? And you all are young people, right? You all
Around
have
25, 30 to
25,
35, 30 to 40, yeah. 30 to 40.
25, 30, 35, 40, not beyond that. How about taking it as an average of 25? So let's chop off another 25 years. We've lived those 25 years, right? So gone behind us. So chopped, and we are down to 50, right? Are we left with 50 years?
Yes.
Yes? I would say no. Let me give you another perspective here. Every year we have about 52 weeks, right? That's 52 Sundays. Multiply it by 50 years. That comes to about 7 years or so. So 7 years we're going to spend enjoying the Sunday, right? So let's how about chopping off those Sundays? Let's see how much life we have in hand to make the best use of. Chopped. Now, a
Yes.
lot of us do have Saturdays off as well. Uh, Today you're working, but of course you're filling your cup of inspiration and learning. But we have Saturdays off. So how about reducing another 7 years? We are down to Alok. How much?
36.
Really? I hope our heart is not sinking. Well, we also have public holidays, national holidays, right? In all countries. So about 10 in a year. So 10 multiplied by 50, another year and a half. How about chopping that off?
34.
Oh, we all enjoy, love the casual leave, the sick leave, right? The annual holidays, about 40 years a day, right? And we're all going to enjoy that. Another 5 years gone in those holidays.
29. 29.
Let me give you another interesting one. A lot of us don't do this, but we should, and because that's really important. Whatever we are drilling down to, for you to make the best use of it, this time is very important. We should be sleeping. We should sleep, and I would say we sleep 8 hours a day, average, 365 days in a year, right? And you multiply it by 50 years, so 122 to 50, almost 17 years, if that's what my math tells me. We'll be sleeping for almost 17 years, which is much needed, by the way. So let's chop off this 17 years of sleep.
12.
12. Wow. Now we spend time eating lunch, breakfast, snacks, and we should have at least 4 meals a day, right? They say you should eat every 2 to 3 hours, right? You should drink water regularly. Spend this time effectively, and 2 hours a day, 30 years, 30 days a year, right? And 50 times, so 4 years approximately, goes in eating, drinking, taking good care of yourself. Let's chop off this 4 years. Now,
8.
last,
Eight.
8.
Only
Wow.
8.
Only lucky number 8, lucky 7, lucky 8. Well, we are not stopping here. We also spend time about an hour for going from place to place. These days travel is restricted, but we do go out for, say, a walk, getting groceries, uh, or getting other things. That's about 2 more years. Chopping those 2 more years, we are down to 6 years. SIX, 6 years. That's what we have to make the best use of it, to do the things that matter to you the most, right? And so, like Ajay, take a plunge and make the best use of these 6 years. That's a perspective that I wanted to share with you. Your thoughts on the ribbon of life.
Yeah, doesn't feel good, right? You started with 100 and now it's close to 6.
But you see, we in the process, if you realize, what we've done is we've dedicated time to sleep. And which a lot of us youngsters don't do that very well. I know that for sure. Sometimes we are Facebooking, sometimes we are you know, we're busy working, we don't utilize it that well. And and in doing so, we end up burning ourselves out, right? So I feel it's a good news. And the why is it a good news? It's a good news because you know how much of it you really need to plan out, and what is it that you really need to do. So you need to ensure that you sleep for 17 years. You need to ensure that you eat well. I've plotted out time for all of that. What say?
True, true.
Right. So with that thought in mind, what I feel is that, you know, we all are also blessed with every moment. We Every moment is, you know, is a blessing, is uh in a way money. If I were to say, you all are blessed with or accredited with 86,400 every day in your account. How do you spend it? And the deal is, if you don't spend it wisely, whether you spend it wisely or not, it will go, it will vanish, right? Like this. You breathe in, go out, breathe out, the moment is gone. That second is gone. That dollar, that rupee is gone, right? So these 6 years or 86,400, let me make you feel rich, right? 86,400 every day. You can spend it wisely, and it's your choice. And let me give you a tool to do that. You see, remember, discipline is not about being that, you know, army man or woman. Discipline, right? Left, right, left, left, right, left. Time to eat, time to sleep, lights on, lights off. It's not like that. It's really about bringing focus to things that your heart desires, things that you think matter the most to you, and your ability to bring a balance. So we're going to look at a tool called the wheel of life to bring this balance for your, you know, 86,400, or for spending each moment effectively, for basically taking good care of your self holistically. Some of you may be aware of this. We spoke about it in one of my previous talks as well. But this is something personally a, a favorite tool, and also many coaches use it to help people bring a balance in life, to also bring you know, manage their time effectively, to bring discipline, if I can put it simply, right? Now, as I said, it's a wheel of life, right? So consider each area like a spoke of a wheel. And if, remember, one of the spokes happens to be shorter than the other, will the wheel run properly? It won't, right? So let's do this quick exercise. Why don't you get a piece of paper for yourself and a pencil or a pen as well? And Alok is going to show you the picture of the wheel.
Yep, that is out there right now on the screen.
Cool. You see, too many people are caught up with, you know, making a living. Kamana hai, I need to earn, I need to do this, I need to do that. But I would encourage you to design your life. So, in order for you to design your life, you need to be able to create a map of where you are. That's what Tony Robbins says. Tony Robbins is a hypnotherapist. He is a neuro-linguistic practitioner, right? The neuro-linguistic programming is another tool where which talks about linguistics play an important role in, you know, shaping us and making us who we are and where we are. So design your life. So this wheel of life is going to give you a pictorial description of how your life looks like. So if you have a pen and a paper, you can draw this wheel of life. And I'm going to walk you through each of these roles. Mark yourself. Do due diligence when you mark yourself on this, right? and think through it carefully, because when you think through it carefully, you will truly assess yourself, and nobody is going to look at it. This is your tool, it's only for your consumption. Be absolutely honest to yourself when you design this wheel of life for yourself. So, what you need to do is these, we're going to talk about 8 spokes in this wheel. Okay. You're going to mark yourself on a range, on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is closer to the center of the circle, and 10 is towards the outer line of the circle. Now, once you fill those out, you can connect them, connect the lines, and then you will be able to see like a, like a web, like a spider web, a graphical representation of your um, life, right? So let's look at it. Look at these 8 roles, okay? And remember, these 8 roles are not definitive. You can put in more stuff there, but these are the 8 key focus areas. So first one says we're gonna focus on is business and career, right? So how satisfied are you with your job? Are you is this something that you love? Now remember, some of us put in the chat window early on that currently what you're doing is what you love. So if that's the case, then you will score yourself maybe much higher, right? If that's not a satisfaction for you, then maybe 1, 2, or 3. But clearly focus on where you see yourself currently. Reflect on what is your current level of satisfaction. Remember, we're not looking at where you want to be, current level of satisfaction. Does it help you earn enough for a living? Are you satisfied with it? Where do you stand? The second one is finance. See, basically, whatever you earn, do you have enough to meet your needs? Are you happy with it? Are you satisfied? The third category that we want you to reflect on is health. And this can be physical health, mental health, emotional health. How healthy are you? Are you engaged in sports, exercises, healthy eating, mental well being, all of that? The fourth category that we want you to reflect on is friends and family. Do you have supportive friends who support you unconditionally, who are trustworthy? Do you get enough free time with family and friends? Do you have at least one meal a day with your family? The fifth category that we'd like you to reflect on is love, romance, right? What is your partnership like? How is this area of your life doing? How satisfied are you in this area of life? The sixth level that we'd like you to focus on is personal development. Well, what does that mean to have personal development? Your personal growth. Are you eager to learn? Right? How do you manage personal development? How satisfied are you? Do you feel that you're growing personally? Are you enjoying life? Are you practicing hobbies? Right? The seventh category is fun, recreation. Remember, it's important to have fun in life, right? It can't be dull and boring. And fun does not mean jumping out there. People have different definitions of fun. So whatever it means fun for you, are you doing that? Are you pursuing a hobby? Are you taking care of yourself? And the last category that we'd like you to reflect on is contribution. Are you making contribution to others? Volunteering, social responsibility, spiritual development. All right, so that, my friends, is your wheel of life. Join the dots, and it'll give you a view of how you're placed. It'll give you a view of how balanced or out of balance your life is. And now what you should do is you can do a thinking through as to where would you like it to be. This is your current level of satisfaction. What is it that you want to do? For example, a good way to think about it is that, say, for example, you may be doing very well taking care of your physical health. You may be enjoying a lot of fun time as well, recreation as well. But financially, you're getting drained. You're not able to pay, one is not able to pay maybe the credit card bills, or has loans, which is becoming difficult to manage. So think through it and attempt to bring a balance in your life, right? So that's the reflection that you need to do. So, looking at this spider web, where are the peaks? Where are the drops? And where is the balance that you want, right? So, if you have a score between 8 to 10, that may indicate that you're very satisfied in that, in that category. Um, it's important to ensure that you maintain it, right? You sustain this well-being. Don't drop it to raise others, because if this area drops, your 8 to 10 satisfaction goes down, then dissatisfaction will come in this area, right? So you want to maintain a balance. 5 to 7 is also reasonable satisfaction, but 1 to 4 is not happy at all about that particular area. So there are templates as well available on the internet, which you can download, and you can continue to assess yourself regularly, maybe on a monthly basis, on a 3 monthly basis, a quarterly basis, and then also on an annual basis. But the idea is to be in close touch with yourself. Where is that you need to bring about a balance? So that's one practical tool that I want all of us to remember and regularly use for bringing in some self discipline. Discipline in the areas where you want discipline, where you desire discipline. Remember, I said this is a roadmap that you create for yourself. This is your life design. This is how it's going. I'm going to pause for any questions and thoughts. How's this? Interesting? Not so interesting? Like
Ye-
it?
It is interesting.
Okay. Find it valuable?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is indeed, Madhu, and quite thought provocative as well. We generally tend to kind of do all the stuff at the same time,
Hmm.
but this kind of bring back a focus, right? So at least the way I'm connecting to the topic of self-discipline is like it's not going everywhere, but identify where score is low, even though intent you desire, but probably it's not working so well for us. So that's where you need to think about what sort of discipline or how you need to go there.
Absolutely. And remember, balance is the key. Balance is the key, right? And I'm going to give you uh, one more tool before we actually call it a day. We have about 15 minutes or so, right? So let me ask you this. What were some of the activities you can put in the chat window, or make a list of it on the other side of the paper, or take a separate paper, right? What list down the activities that you did last week. So basically, take a stock of your entire last week. You can take it Monday to Friday. What all did you do? And it could be work front, family front, personal front. What all did you do? Let's take a minute. How was it? Was it an action-packed week? What all did you do? Would anybody? Okay,
For
a
me, it
lot of
was
things. Mhm, mhm.
a lot of things actually. It was a Diwali week, cleaning, then meeting friends and family. Then I
Yeah,
was preparing a bit for the creative morning as well, so that's where my time was spent a little bit.
spent.
And
Mhm.
reading is something which I enjoy, so there as well I spend some time.
Hmm.
I noticed
Hmm.
I wasted a lot of hours on binge watching, so that is something.
Okay. Okay. Art making, studying, socializing, reading, organizing, reading, eating, sleeping, coding, mails, calls, reading, okay, travel, all of that. All right. And Alok shared his. Anybody else? Yeah, even I did a lot of those things. I had a lot of calls, completing some courses. I What else did I do? I played. I met my parents. Uh, yeah, those were some of the things that I did. Okay. Okay, that's very important, right? You will soon realize paying attention to a health checkup, and long time. I would want to underline this word, long time. You see, a lot of times we end up procrastinating these things. And a lot of times, what kind of things are procrastinating is the self-care, right? A lot of times we end up doing that. Yeah, January to uh March. No, not this is we are in October. January to October. You've done pretty well, by the way. A lot of people make it maybe like a 5-year plan. Will get themselves checked after 5 years. So you've done pretty well, Bhavna.
So mine was I got my tests done, but I was not able to show it to doctor when I came to my hometown, and I got
Okay.
stuck here. I mean,
Oh,
being stuck at home is much better than being stuck anywhere else.
yeah, that is true.
Yeah, I was not going out because of my food. They both are 65 plus.
Yeah, all right.
Then finally I moved out and I have shown. And finally I met my school friends, which I was avoiding.
Okay.
But in a garden,
In an
like
open
old
space,
old
yeah.
school kind of thing, a garden picnic.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you guys have done pretty nice things, right? And things that really matter to you. And we're going to put it into a picture and understand this uh, in more detail. You see, a lot of times we think that time management is about managing every second, managing time by the clock. But I want to give you a new definition of time management. This is as per many experts, and it's also popularized in the very famous book called Seven Habits of Highly Effective People by Dr. Stephen R. Covey, where we look at managing time, not managing time, but prioritizing our goals, our roles, right? And how do we prioritize? We prioritize based on two components, two uh, elements, two aspects. They are urgency and importance. So, if I were to define urgency for you, urgency would be like literally fire. If there's fire, you need to run, right? We need to run. If there's an earthquake, we need to run. If there's an email from the client which we need to respond right now, otherwise we will lose business, we need to respond right now. If suddenly somebody's come down with fever, need to go show to the doctor immediately, right? If the blood pressure has shot up, that's urgent. All of that is urgent. The second criteria is importance. What is important? Important is something that really, really matters to me, right? So, for example, eating. Somebody said eating, right? Or somebody said drawing. That is important. Or health checkup. That is important for us. Or say studying to complete an exam, to appear for an exam. That is important because I need to get that marks for myself. I need to get that certificate. Coding may be important for you, right? Preparing for today's meeting may be important for you. You club it and you put it on a graph in the form of a quadrants. You get what Alok is showing to you is the urgency and importance matrix, where you get four quadrants. If you look at quadrant one will be those activities that is urgent and important, meaning those things that are on fire and also matter to you, right? So you'll do them, you really need to take care of them. The second quadrant um, will be low on urgency but high on importance. Things that we end up procrastinating, by the way, right? Quadrant three will be things that are urgent but not important. Like those phone calls that appear on your phone. uh, you're in a meeting, you get a phone call, and you feel, oh, this is urgent. I have to answer this right now. Otherwise, I don't know which train I will miss. And you answer that call, and only to realize, Namaskar, ma'am. Would you like to take a policy? Something that we may think that, hey, I didn't really want that policy right now, and I didn't want to attend to that call also. But at that point in time, it appears to be very, very urgent. So urgent but not important. Sometimes in this quadrant are other people's priorities as well. Urgent. So, for example, say I need help with um, an Excel file, and I know that say Rachel is very good with Excel. I go to Rachel, and Rachel is very busy. And I go to Rachel and say, Rachel, can you please help me, add a macro to this file? And for Rachel, for me, it is this task is important. It may be urgent as well because I need it right now. But from Rachel's standpoint, it is not important. But because I've come with it like a burning need, then it is urgent. So from Rachel's standpoint, it is urgent but not important. But from my standpoint, it's urgent and important. And then the last quadrant is neither urgent nor important. That binge watching that we do, we go through from one channel to another, to another, to another, and then switch off the television or the laptop and say, what is this? This is useless. There's nothing good coming on TV. That's quadrant four. Or just whiling away time, without knowing, or without really senselessly whiling away time, if I can put it that way. That's quadrant four. Now, let me ask you this. Mostly, how much time do we spend in each of these quadrants? How much time do we spend in Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4?
It's a fairly unconscious process, I would guess for myself.
Okay, it's an unconscious process, all right. But if you come to think of it, how much look at your last week, or maybe last to last week, or the activities that you've been doing, and how I explained the quadrants. Where do you think we end up spending maximum time?
Most of the time we end up spending in not important and not urgent.
Q4?
Yes.
Okay, Q4. Thanks for that that honesty there. Okay.
For now,
Alok,
like
uh-huh.
for in this situation currently.
Yes, currently. Okay.
Mhm.
Alok says quadrant 1 and 4. Okay. So research also says, by the way, and before that, let me ask you one more question. Have you all heard of the Bermuda Triangle?
Yes.
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 What happens in the Bermuda Triangle? It's that magnetic zone where whatever,
Whatever
ships,
goes in.
whatever goes in does not come out. My friends, if you look at quadrants 1, 3, and 4, they form the Bermuda Triangle. And analysis suggests that on an average, people spend about 70% of their time in quadrants 1, 3, and 4, and only about a 30% time in quadrant 2, which is scary, right? Which is why these days, uh, people face burnouts, which is why we get to hear of early age, heart diseases, hypertension diseases, or so many other diseases, right? Because people are going into the Bermuda Triangle. And therefore, my friends, solution for that is to attempt to spend life more and more in Q2. So let me help you understand what we need to do. And looking at the next slide, you see, for Q1, what should we do? Q1 I call the quadrant of necessity. It needs to be done right then. You can't ignore it because it is important for you and it is urgent for you, right? So do it right then. Quadrant 2 is that I call it the quadrant of planning, preparation, prevention. It's also known as a quadrant of effectiveness. So you need to plan your things in quadrant 2. What do you do to quadrant 3? Remember, this is if this is not important for you, it's only urgent. See if there is a possibility of delegating such stuff. But don't spend time doing those things that really don't matter to you. Because if you do so, then remember it will be at the cost of something. And in all likelihood, it'll be at the cost of something that lies in quadrant 2. And in all likelihood, then what lies in quadrant 2, not done now, will come to quadrant 1 very, very soon. So that's where it happens. Start exercising, otherwise, it's now or never. Because we didn't pay attention to it when it was in Q2, it has come to Q1. And last quadrant, Q4, we call it the quadrant of waste. We suggest eliminate those activities. Now remember, Facebooking is not Q4. Movie watching is not Q4. It becomes a Q4 activity only when done in excess, only when done mindlessly, only when done just to kill time. So, that, my friends, is the tip for all of us to manage our time effectively. Alok asked you a few questions at the beginning of the workshop, the session. Those questions were to do with which quadrant? What do you think? The books that you read, the professions that you, the activities that you like. Which quadrant were they? Do they have to do with? One, two, three, four. Second,
Two.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Two, Q2, absolutely. And that's what we want all of us to follow. That's one key point that I want all of us to remember, that we want to plan in such a way that we spend more and more time in Q2. And then what you will start observing is your Q1 activities will reduce because you will have taken care of them at the right time. Q3, you will delegate, Q4, you will deny, and you will become more and more effective, more and more disciplined. So that's my key message that I want all of us to take away. How can you do this? What you need to do is you can list down. They say it's always a good idea to plan for a week. Okay, plan for a week, because if you plan for a month, you may lose sight from it. Have an overall vision. Know your roles that you play. You play a role of a father or mother, or a sister, or a child. You play a role of a manager, or play a role of a business owner. You play a role of a team member. You play you play so many roles, right? List down those roles. And for the upcoming week, list down your goals for those roles, your activities for those roles. Sometimes maybe your role could be, say, community service, and your goal for the upcoming week could be, say, going and meeting or doing a workshop for the underprivileged children. That could be your goal. That becomes your quadrant 2 activity, right? So list down your roles, list down your goals, and then list down the activities that you want to do for those goals. And once you've done that, you plot them into Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, and then you execute. Now, when you execute, remember to ensure flexibility. Remember to ensure that you adapt on a daily basis. And that, my friends, will give you a balance, a discipline that you truly want. So that's all I wanted to share with all of you today, right? Remember, balance is in your hands. You can bring it. None of us can. You make that choice. Follow your passion, know your life wheel, bring that balance, know your vision, know your roles, know your goals, plan weekly, but adapt daily, and live each moment as it comes to you. So that's all that I wanted to share for today. And let's take questions.
How
Any?
how do you how do you handle distractions in your mind? What are the best ways to handle the distractions?
To my mind, the best way to handle a distraction is to be focused, and to tell yourself honestly that, hey, at this point in time, I am being distracted. There is a distraction here, right? Recognizing that distraction and then bringing focus back. Not but at that moment what will also matter is not torturing yourself and saying, hey, I got distracted, and beating yourself up for it. Don't beat yourself up for it, but acknowledge the distraction and then bring your focus back. Acknowledge the distraction, bring your focus back. I feel that's what works for me. That's what I do. And also, I don't I also ensure that I don't pretend to listen. So, a lot of times we are getting distracted by something and we're pretending to listen. Yeah, 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 I'm listening. Okay. Sorry, what did you say? So, not pretending to listen, being open and telling people that, sorry, just allow me a minute. I want to focus on this and I'll be back with you 100%. Just allow me this much time. So, just being self aware and being, interactive and letting people know is the tip that I follow.
Okay. In your experience and life, what has been the biggest challenge to self-discipline?
The
Your
biggest
your
it's
personal experience.
yeah, it's starting something. If you start something, half the battle is won. Procrastination becomes the biggest challenge, right? You keep procrastinating, I'll do tomorrow. Tomorrow never comes. So do it
So,
today and now. Once you're able to start it, then I got the hang of it.
okay.
Yeah.
For people, you can type your question. If you don't want to speak, you can type your question in the chat window. We will read it for Madhu, or you can
Speak up
unmute.
as well.
Yeah, if you want, you can speak as well.
No questions? Looks like either it is crystal clear or it is all clear.
Yeah, maybe people are
To
thinking about.
introspection.
Oh, introspection. Thank you.
After your access, like when we access ourselves, we are into introspection. So no questions for now, but maybe
Sure.
because I think I am self-disciplined, like even by clock time, not to point, but yes, a similar time. Just like I was discussing with my friend yesterday,
Yeah.
that planets in the orbit have a particular speed in which they rotate. So we also need to develop our speed. Sometimes it's your own. I won't be able to explain properly, but yes, you have that speed and get into that, then you can be more productive.
Absolutely. When you get into the flow,
And,
the
yes,
motion.
yes.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to say for
Sure.
now.
Sure. Thanks, friend. Thank you out there for saying that it's been helpful for you. That
Thank you.
that that really helps, is encouraging.
Thank you very much. So we actually did well on time, only 8 minutes from the scheduled time. Thank you so much, Ajay and Madhu, for your time. I know both of you had a lot of prior commitments. Still, you made out your time for so long for the community. Uh, it was really very helpful. And again, thank you so much to the Creative Morning Gurgaon chapter team members. Without their support, I don't think we could have been here and doing this session. And thank you for all the people who decided to attend it. What I feel that a lot of times it is not about the new thing. Probably we knew and we know all along that self-discipline is very much required. But what I have felt is that a continuous and time to time nudging and reinforcement is required for us to get back into the right zone. And I guess that's what this session was about. I'm going to have a wonderful Saturday. Nothing, it could not have been a better way to start my Saturday. And this positive feeling is going to stay with me. So thank you once again. And if anyone has any thoughts about this session or anything else on their mind, feel free to kind of unmute yourself and speak.
This is getting recorded. Can we see it on the Creative Morning platform
Yeah,
again?
we are recording. There will be a little bit of editing required. The initial part will have to be adjusted. Hopefully by Monday or Tuesday, we will be able to upload it.
All right.
Okay. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. You enjoy whatever Saturday you are left with. If it is evening, then whatever weekend you are left with. So be creative and be gentle for being self-disciplined. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye bye.
Thank you so much. Thanks for that compliment. Thank you out there.